Now, over to you, Shazad. You have been a proponent of financial crime in your institution, within the industry, and you have done a lot of work with respect to your organizational transformation. My question is predominantly regarding the point that Aurangzeb Sahib has also mentioned, the sustainability. The sustainability of the country within the grey list. So I'll make a presentation after this important session, and I'll also explain to the audience about the way in which we have been in and out of the grey list, and the kind of cumulative period we have been in, and the period that we've been out. So therefore, I understand the sustainability is a very, very important element. So, and there is a general perception, Shazad, that perhaps there is a feeling that that the risk might be significantly reduced because we are out of the grey list now. So obviously we can take a sigh of relief, and we can probably pull back the accelerators. Now, question to you is, how can we ensure that we do have that sustainability built into our culture, in our technology, in our data, in our process, in our people, at the organizational level, Shazad, and also at the country level? How do you see that unfolding in the future for Pakistan, and what are your suggestions to the industry as a whole?
Thank you for us. First of all, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Delighted to be here with my colleagues, and really would like to thank Telsons, PwC, and other organizers for organizing this fourth summit. Very important topic, especially in light of what's all going on in the country, and the fact that we've come out of FATF. And I think I'd like to congratulate all the stakeholders that really made coming out of the grey list, because the consequences of remaining on the grey list are quite dire, and I think we were facing some of that. So I think it was a great collaborative effort between the Government of Pakistan, State Bank of Pakistan, within the banking community, and other regulators to really come together. And it really showed and demonstrated that when we put our minds to something as a nation, we can achieve anything and everything. And I think just before I answer your question, echoing what Aurangzeb has just said, I think our economy is going through some very serious challenges, and I think this is the time that we really need to come to a common platform, and that if we don't do it, we will run into some serious risks. There are some serious challenges the banking sector is facing, and we really need all the stakeholders, and through this channel, I'd like to reiterate our concerns, because otherwise we will run into some deep issues, especially with the Ramzan coming up, and some of our basic necessities are being stalled at ports and other places. And then I just don't want to be, at that point, the direction should be that the banks did not do their part. Banks are really stepping up as an industry, and we hope and pray that everybody comes together and really addresses the core issues, including the fact that I think it's the IMF program, and not just this program, it's the next IMF program that's, I think, even more critical now. And for that, I think we really need some political stability. So let me pause there on that point. On sustainability of financial, how do we make this sustainable? Look, I think to make this sustainable, we really have to understand that this did not just happen overnight. There was a lot of hard work that went in. And I have two sort of suggestions. One is a very simple one, but we need to be more proactive than reactive. As a nation, as a country, we're very good to react. We are good ambulance chasers, but at times, the times have moved on. I think we really need to be proactive. Proactive means we really need to have risk-based systems and controls in place in our organizations and everywhere where we look around. Again, the basic thrust of that is, first thing is know your customers, as Aurangzeb also mentioned. And with that, understand the risk that customer entails. What is the risk that you are doing? On that basis, understand and really develop your own risk appetite and your risk tolerance. ये इसमें बहुत बड़ा फ़र्क है. एक तो understand the risk that client may have, और दूसरा point जो मैं emphasize कर रहा हूँ is really understand what kind of tolerance you have and what kind of risk appetite you have. There are two different things which I don't think sometimes are taken interchangeably. And I think with that, we need to also, world is moving on very fast. And I think with technology, which the couple of guests of honors also talked about, the President Saab ne bhi uski zikr kiya. I think technology is moving fast, and there's lots of things available. RegTech is one of the things, MI, AI, all sorts of things are available which will really make us become much more efficient in how we do it. And I think firms and banks and institutions that are investing in that, I think are the ones that will be able to address this, because again, the data is becoming more and more, analyzing the data on a timely basis and being able to conclude while ensuring that the customer journey and the customer experience does not get compromised. I think you will have to lean on technology and you cannot ignore it. And for that, we also need to create a conducive environment which will require some changes in regulations for which the banks are talking to the regulator and with other stakeholders, whether it's PTA or everybody else. Because again, it's something that requires a collective effort. Early on, it was mentioned about biometrics. Absolutely, but again, how we are able to utilize that biometric, what's the cost of doing that biometric, how closed architecture is that. I think these are things that we need help from all the stakeholders in allowing us to do. And last thing I would just say, it's the mindset and it's the people. I think on that front, you really need to ensure that you have brought this awareness at all levels when it comes to a culture of collaboration. You cannot have just this responsibility of compliance or CISOs to cybersecurity. I think awareness at all levels and having a target operating model which really is agile, and at the same time everybody's playing their role, but also realizing that we have to do it collectively. So whether it's the first line, whether it's the first line with the businesses and the client touching points and operations, or the second line, which is your compliance functions and secondary checks that you have, the enablers that I call it, and the third line, obviously, your internal audit teams. But they all have to work in concert, in collaboration, because the world is moving very fast. And again, having that proactive culture is very important. The second is, again, related to the last point about this collaborative culture, is this whole tone at the top, and again, everybody owning this agenda. So if you have a risk-based controls, proactive versus reactive, and if you have an organization that's really embedding this as a core responsibility of everybody, rather than just ye to business ka kaam hai ya ye to compliance ka kaam hai, you will not succeed. And I think the people around us who are doing these things are becoming smarter and smarter, and we really need to stay one step ahead, using all the means at our disposal, whether it's technology, whether it's know-how, whether it's data, and the fact that we all need to work together as an industry and as a nation that really wants to avoid it. Because if you don't do this, especially with the way digitization is happening, which we all are playing in our respective organizations and in our respective fields, it's a big agenda and it's something that is there. Fraud levels will go up, and that will again create some disappointment, which is something that we need to make sure that we avoid. Thank you.